On the rooftop, Yan stood at the very edge, her toes hanging over the drop as Ming hovered behind her, panic tightening every breath he took. He pleaded with her not to jump, begging her to come down, his voice shaking with fear. Yan's voice trembled as tears streamed down her cheeks, telling him that she couldn't bear to live anymore, that her life had become worthless. Ming kept his eyes on her, desperate, telling her it wasn't true, that her life was precious, that she couldn't do this to herself, because there was still a bright future waiting for her. But Yan denied it, her voice cracking as she told him he was only saying those things to make her feel better. She sobbed that everyone was laughing at her, bullying her, that everyone had left her and she was completely alone. She said Liwei had abandoned her for someone else, that she had waited 10 years for him, loyal all those years, only for him to dump her and get engaged to another girl right after. She said the friends she thought she had were mocking her behind her back, gossiping and making fun of her, and that everything she had was gone. She said her life was worthless, that there was no point in continuing to live. Ming moved a little closer, his voice soft but urgent, as he told her not to think like that just because things had turned out this way didn't mean her life was over. He told her there was still so much left to live for and that he had never left. He was still there for her, and he always would be. Yan let out a small, bitter laugh as she told him he had left her too, that he was dating Momo now, giving all his attention to Momo, and just like Liwei, he had tossed her aside like trash, leaving their friendship behind for a girl. Ming froze, shocked she knew, but he eventually whispered that it wasn't like that he was still her friend, and dating Momo didn't mean he would stop being there for her. Yan inched closer to the edge, and Ming panicked, begging her not to jump, to stop, to come down. But Yan kept crying, her voice shaking as she said that at least in death she would finally be at peace, that she wouldn't feel anything anymore or face the humiliation she had been enduring. She moved another step toward the drop, and Ming's heart twisted painfully as he pleaded for her to please step down. Yan looked back at him and asked if he truly wanted her to step down. Ming nodded desperately, saying he wanted that more than anything. Yan then told him that if he wanted that, he should end things with Momo and marry her like she had always asked. Ming froze entirely, his voice breaking as he told her it was unfair for her to say that, unfair to Momo. Hearing that, Yan leaned forward, inching closer, and Ming's heart pounded violently as he tried to think of what to say. He couldn't let her jump. Maybe making the promise would buy time, but before he could speak, Kai stepped forward and stopped him, shaking his head firmly and warning him not to do it. Kai looked at Yan, his eyes cold, and told her that if she wanted to jump so badly she could jump. He said that if she jumped, she might get the death she wanted, or she might not. He told her there was another outcome she wasn't thinking of. She might survive the fall and spend the rest of her life disabled, disfigured, living every day with a regret she couldn't escape, wishing she had chosen differently. Yan panicked at his words, shaking her head and telling him she wouldn't buy whatever he was saying. Kai told her he wasn't trying to make her buy anything, he was just stating facts. He added that they would leave her alone to jump, and that she should pray the fall killed her instantly and didn't leave her alive but broken. With that, he grabbed Ming's hand and told him they were leaving. Ming hesitated, trying to pull away, but Kai dragged him back by force, leaving Yan trembling alone at the edge. Down the hallway, Ming spun to Kai in disbelief, demanding why he had said those things to her and insisting she was going to jump. He tried to go back, but Kai blocked him, his voice sharp as he told him she wouldn't jump. He asked Ming if he really wanted to dump Momo just to fall into Yan's manipulation. He demanded if Ming had thought about how Momo would feel, how she would react, how hurt she already was once and forgave him, and how now he was about to hurt her again, because of Yan. Ming stood there silent, listening as Kai told him to wake up, that he might end up losing a good woman because of Yan, and that he couldn't let Yan control his whole life in the name of friendship. He told him to man up and stop being weak. Ming's mind spun chaotically, his heart pounding as fear, guilt, and confusion crashed together inside him. Before he could turn back toward the rooftop, the door opened behind them and Yan stepped out, her body weak and trembling, her expression filled with embarrassment over the breakdown she had just caused. Ming rushed toward Yan the moment she stepped out, asking her if she was all right and insisting he would take her home. But Yan, overwhelmed and frustrated, pushed him aside. She told him that they were no longer friends, her voice trembling with anger and humiliation, before turning away. Ming stood frozen, watching her walk off, the weight of her words settling heavily in his chest. Kai stepped beside him, his expression firm as he stated that he had told him she wouldn't jump and that Ming needed to stay away from her. He added that Yan only wanted to control his life and that anyone who tried to manipulate him like that was not a friend. Ming remained quiet, caught between guilt, confusion, and the truth Kai was forcing him to confront. Meanwhile, Liwei pulled up to his grandmother's house, Amara by his side. As soon as they stepped inside, Amara rushed forward, a bright smile on her face as she hugged the elderly woman tightly, telling her that it was so good to see her after such a long time. The old lady only nodded, her expression unreadable, saying nothing. Liwei stood back for a moment, observing her closely. Something felt off. Her mood, her behavior. It wasn't the joyful reception he had expected. She didn't light up as she usually did when she saw him. Moving a little closer, he studied her carefully and asked if something was wrong, if she wasn't feeling well, if something had happened. Amara, noticing the tension as well, stepped forward and asked softly if she was all right. The old lady merely nodded again, quiet and composed, giving nothing away. Amara, trying to lift the mood, forced a smile and said that she had something that might cheer her up. She lifted her hand, letting it catch the light, revealing the engagement ring that Liwei had given her. She told the old lady proudly that she and Liwei were engaged. The old lady's eyes narrowed, and she immediately straightened, her voice firm and unwavering as she turned to Liwei. She told him that he could not marry her, that he could not get married to Amara. Her tone carried authority and conviction, leaving the air heavy with tension, and both Liwei and Amara froze, the weight of her words pressing down on them. Meanwhile, Liwei stood frozen for a moment, shock and confusion etched across his face as he asked his grandmother what she meant, insisting that, of course, he was going to marry Amara, that she was the one person who had always encouraged him to be with her, and asking why she was suddenly saying such things. The old lady remained firm, repeating that he couldn't do it, that he shouldn't do it. Liwei's curiosity and concern deepened, his voice steady but pressing as he demanded to know what was really going on, that she couldn't just tell him he couldn't marry Amara without giving him a reason. The old lady looked away, silent, and he pressed again, asking what was happening, why she was so against it. She only told him again that she was simply against it, and without another word, walked away. Liwei exchanged a quick glance with Amara, who had been standing quietly, concern shadowing her face. He gestured for her to have a seat, promising he would find out what was going on, and stepped after his grandmother. He found her sitting alone, her hands resting nervously on an orange. He sat beside her, taking the fruit from her and helping to peel it, his gaze soft but intent as he told her that she was one person he trusted completely, that he had never hidden anything from her, and that he wasn't going to leave until he understood why she was saying all this. He reminded her that she knew she loved Amara, that she had always praised her and approved of her, and that for her to suddenly oppose their marriage didn't make sense. Leaning closer, he asked again, pleading with her to tell him the truth. The old lady remained silent, looking away, but Liwei didn't relent. He asked if someone had spoken to her, if she had been threatened. Her hands trembled in his grasp, and he held them gently, telling her she could always tell him anything, that he would protect her. She hesitated, but finally, her voice quivering, she admitted that it was dangerous. Liwei's curiosity sharpened, asking her to explain, to tell him what she had heard. The old lady's eyes filled with fear, and she spoke in a low, shaking voice, telling him that he shouldn't go ahead with the mission, that he should stop it, abandon it, that he was going to die, and that they were going to kill him and Amara. She urged him to let everything go, to move on, warning that he could end up losing his life like his family had. Liwei's eyes narrowed, stunned, but his resolve only strengthened. He demanded to know who had said such things to her, who was behind this warning. The old lady, trembling, whispered that it was the man in the mask. He had come to see her, scary and commanding, and told her to persuade Liwei not to go ahead with marrying Amara. She warned him that he was evil, that he would kill him, kill both of them, and that a great disaster was coming. Liwei's gaze softened, but his voice was unwavering as he reassured her that she knew he wasn't the type to run, that he wasn't the type to give up. He had spent 10 years devising his revenge mission, and he wouldn't throw it all away halfway through. He would hunt down whoever had caused him and his family so much pain and make them pay. He told her not to worry, that he wasn't afraid, that the man in the mask didn't scare him, and if she thought that man was scary, then he was even scarier. The grandmother tried to speak again, but Liwei interrupted, his tone firm yet protective, telling her not to panic, that nothing would happen to him or Amara. He explained that the fact the man had threatened an old lady like her only proved he was a coward and weak. Liwei promised that he would come out of this well and alive, that he would marry Amara, have a family with her, and she would witness it all, him victorious, restoring their family bloodline. The old lady looked at him, relief washing over her as his words sank in. Liwei pulled her gently into his arms, hugging her tightly, whispering that she shouldn't be scared, that nothing would happen to her, nothing to him or Amara. Amara stepped forward, walking over and standing beside them, her eyes filled with concern, asking if everything was all right. The grandmother's expression softened, and she invited Amara to sit beside her. She apologized for her earlier behavior, her voice warm, and Amara smiled, telling her it was all right. The old lady laughed softly, taking Amara's hand and glancing at the ring on her finger, admiring its beauty, and giving her blessings for their marriage to prosper. Amara thanked her, a soft warmth spreading through her heart. Liwei watched them quietly, his mind tense. His gaze drifted, thoughts racing about who exactly the man behind the mask was, what he wanted, why he didn't want Amara in the picture, and what his ultimate purpose might be. Later that night, Liwei sat alone in his study, the room dimly lit except for the warm glow of the desk lamp illuminating the scattered documents in front of him. He was going through the strategy he had devised with Master Shen, rereading every detail, every assumption, every vulnerable point. He scribbled notes onto his notepad with sharp precision, his mind repeating the same truth over and over. He had to be prepared. One simple mistake could put both him and Master Shen in danger. Their 10-year plan could collapse entirely. This was a do-or-die mission, and everything he cared about was at stake. He leaned forward, fully immersed in his work, the weight of responsibility tightening across his shoulders when Amara quietly walked into the room. She moved toward him, curiosity clear in her eyes, and the moment he noticed her presence, he closed the notepad swiftly, sliding it aside as though he didn't want her to catch even a glimpse of what he had written. Amara leaned closer, asking softly what he had been writing. Liwei didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled her gently into his lap, keeping her close as he told her it was just a plan for the mission. Nothing important. Before she could question him further, he took her hand, his fingers brushing against her ring as he admired it. He told her the ring suited her hand beautifully and that she had made the perfect choice. Amara smiled as she looked at it again, telling him she loved it. Liwei lifted her hand to his lips, kissing it gently before telling her he would make sure she loved her wedding ring even more. That he was going to buy her a ring worth millions because that was what she deserved, because that was how precious she was to him. Amara blushed, shyly telling him he didn't need to spend so much money. Liwei touched her face softly, reminding her that it was his money and that he was more than happy to spend it on his woman. His hand slid down, resting on her belly as he teased her, telling her he couldn't wait to put a baby in her. Twins or triplets. Amara immediately hid her face against his chest, blushing as she told him triplets were too much, that she wouldn't be able to carry them. Liwei laughed quietly, leaning down to kiss her cheek as he told her then, maybe they would have twins, a beautiful boy and girl. He added that his sister had been a cute, chubby baby, and he loved squeezing her cheeks, and that he hoped their babies would be the same. Amara looked at him with a warm smile, telling him she was sure their babies would be adorable, a mix of the both of them. Liwei grew quiet, his gaze lingering on her face, his expression thoughtful as though he was memorizing every detail of her features. Amara blinked, asking why he was staring at her like that. Snapping out of his thoughts, Liwei told her she didn't want to know, and that it was something inappropriate. Amara leaned in, insisting she wanted to. Liwei pulled her closer, tilting her chin up as he lowered his voice, telling her he had been thinking about ripping her clothes off, placing her on his study table, spreading her legs apart. Before he could finish, Amara turned away in embarrassment, her entire face flushed. He laughed softly, reminding her that he had warned her it was something inappropriate, and now she didn't even want to hear all of it. He leaned in again, teasing that maybe they should do it right now. Her cheeks burned hotter as he turned her to face him again, adjusting her on his lap and lowering his head to kiss her. But the moment shattered when his phone rang sharply. Liwei immediately grabbed it, glancing at the screen. It was Ming. His mind flashed to Yan, wondering if she had actually jumped. He answered, and Ming asked if he was home, saying he needed to tell him something urgent. Liwei confirmed he was home and asked if something was wrong. And Ming told him he was at the door, asking him to open it. After hanging up, Liwei looked at Amara, telling her he was going to see Ming and that he would be back soon. He set her down gently and walked out. He opened the door and Ming stepped inside quickly. Liwei asked what was going on, if it was about Yan, if she had jumped, but Ming shook his head, saying she hadn't. He told Liwei they should sit, and once they both settled, Liwei watched him closely, waiting. Ming took out his phone, his expression tense, and told Liwei he was there to show him the photos he had taken. Photos of the mastermind Liwei had been hunting for years. He said he had captured everything clearly, but he had mistakenly deleted them and had just managed to restore them back.